Hello, everybody. Group B looked at the upcoming Lithuanian presidential elections. Next slide, please. First, we absorbed Russian sources on the matter, and the trends appear to be the lack of OSCE observation. This was a big theme among the Russian sources. They played into it a lot. They also played into death threats made against the candidate Eduardas Vaitkus. And yeah, it was mostly these sort of themes that we saw throughout the Russian sources. There was a moderate amount of sources on the matter, but it was not overwhelming compared to some other topics. Next slide, please. As far as international sources were concerned, there was a lot of sources discussing how the war in Ukraine might affect the elections, and essentially just what is going on in the election. As Lithuania is a small state, international news do not pay as much attention to the election, so there's that general informative sense to it where the articles were just more informative rather than necessarily pushing some sort of agenda. Next slide, please. And then as far as the Lithuanian sources, we found that the tool was quite lacking. It did not provide many sources, and as you can see, most of them came from Facebook or YouTube. We found this quite troubling because legitimate Lithuanian sources were left out of the information. But from the sources that were there, we didn't find anything particularly surprising. It was just general election information. And what we found as a whole is that the Russian themes that they were pushing in their media articles really did not have any sort of effect on Western media or Lithuanian media as a whole. It was very isolated to those Russian sources. Western sources, Western media that may not even be particularly knowledgeable on the matter, did not even pursue Russian themes as a whole. So our conclusion basically was that Russian propaganda and Russian disinformation attempts did not succeed in influencing international or Lithuanian sources at all. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to sum up. Our goal was just to take one strict case, Lithuanian presidential elections, and try to find which kind of narratives is translated in Russian media, in Western world media, and particularly in Lithuania. And we tried, for example, we first of all checked Russian media. They supported pro-Russian candidate, of course, and they tried to destroy image of Nausėda, the Lithuanian president, and they said that, of course, Lithuanians will maybe choose him, elect him because he is Russophobic. And we tried to find, and we used Google search because maybe the system should be teached, maybe some more information should be uploaded, but we used Google search and tried to check from New York Times to Bloomberg and Barron's Business American media, for example, to find if some media, American media or other Western media reposted this narrative about Nausėda and Russophobia, but we maybe luckily didn't find some this case. So yeah, that's what kind of job we did. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And now Group C. Group C, which is called Group C.
No need for the applause. Group C stands for Struggle Encompasses Everything. So we very much struggled with everything. We were a very small group of 3 people, and we probably misunderstood the entire entire goal of this thing completely. So just bear with us. One of the first person out of three who chose to talk about Lithuania as a vassal state. That was the narrative, and he decided to go for 2 articles. First is this, a very negative, indeed extremely negative one, and the conclusion is basically that the messages are fake and meant to emulate Lithuanian ultra-nationalists. The article was complete misinformation, so when talking about such a narrative as Lithuania as a vassal state, there was a lot of propaganda and disinformation articles, and this was the best example of all. This was the number 1, and the polar opposite was this. Even though it said that was one of the most popular ones, and second as a result as the Lithuanian as a vassal state narrative, but it really it doesn't match what it said in the article. It tends to miscategorize based on single sentences, and the article itself had nothing really to do with the vassal state. It was the comment section that was picked up. So basically, what was happening in the comments took over the essence of the article. So this basically is the main finding was that the tool lacks things to decipher what's in the article and what's in the comment sections, it seems, and require more scrutiny, basically. Another set we talked about Lithuania's image in the world. Chosen narrative was Western powers and influence. Narrow statement was like this. The tool found 599 articles and 1,526 sentences relating the narrative, and most interestingly, most articles were found on one day. Throughout the other days, it was spread out very evenly. But it kind of explains. Most articles were found on March 30th, which is just one day after Lithuania's accession to NATO, and just a few days before Lithuania's anniversary of accession to NATO, to European Union, sorry. So it kind of makes sense that the biggest flow of information happened the day off and days after the big event for Lithuania. And those were the main entities, what was happening. Articles by regions are also not really surprising. Ukraine, articles coming out of Ukraine, Kyrgyzstan, Latvia, United States, Canada, Poland, Germany, Mexico, and Singapore were dominating on that date, the findings. Ukraine and Kyrgyzstan are not really surprising. Ukraine is just simply interested in Lithuania's affairs, while Kyrgyzstan is often used as a domain, basically, for Russian propaganda sources, for whatever reasons, basically as a somewhat of a vassal state for Russia itself, or because it's cheaper. And then by the source, most articles were found, of course, was LRT, but then others, most of the sources were actually not very reputable sources, which again is not very surprising as the overall impact of the articles found was negative. So you can make a presumption that most of the articles found was about disinformation on the narrative. And the most positive articles, then I looked at the most positive article and the most negative one. Most positive articles came out on these platforms. Also, not all of them are very well known or reputable, but the first one was the most interesting one, and it's coming from European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. So a very good news story that the bank is lending Lithuania money to modernize its old apartment buildings. The negative one was from Euronews.com, Italian site of it. The impact is extremely negative, -56. However, again, as Italian speaker, I read the article, didn't find anything negative really about it. It's a story about the Lithuanian citizen who died in Belarus's prison, and where the ambassador Andriauskina tried to get the person out of it, tried to contact the person, but couldn't. So there's no negative things really about Lithuania, but it was the comment section, again. The comment section was full of trash about Lithuania, And you can say that, again, the intricacies, the tool doesn't really pick up, that didn't differentiate, at least on this website, what's the article and what are the comment sections. But yet again, it wasn't surprising to me that it came from Euronews, as we know that Euronews is a very questionable news source belonging to an oligarch from Hungary. So that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vitas. And small but very mighty, and you even provided some recommendations how to develop a tool, what it lacks. So I think that companies bearing this in mind, that's a good thing. And the fourth group, which is called, has a very strong name indeed, Law and Order Disinformation Unit. By the way, students came up with the titles entirely themselves.
Hello, everyone. So we're team number 4, Law and Unit, Law and Order, Disinformation Unit. We picked up a specific topic about Russophobia in Lithuania, and specifically we wanted to see what kind of information was spread about closure of Russian schools. So in Lithuania, the whole situation started in January the 3rd, where the Minister of Education started discussing the topic about closing some schools, just discussing it, due to some violent events in one school. So we wanted simply to check how it evolved, how it got caught up in Russia and in the world.
In general, Lithuania is very Russophobic. Very. At least according to Russian media. Because look at that timeline at the bottom. That's how much they spend and make articles on Lithuania basically being Russophobic. That's how much. We wanted to narrow down this topic of Russophobia and just thread through one story. So closing Russian schools in Lithuania. Basically, several media outlets have taken up the words that maybe we should close that school where the violent events have happened, and turned it into a story where Lithuania is closing all Russian schools, and therefore Lithuanians hate Russia. The story of Lithuania closing all of the schools, all Russian schools, have been echoed in several biggest media outlets in Russia, and that must have had quite an impact. So we wanted to see whether the world has picked up on this story, on this narrative that Russia was emitting, and whether there was any kind of reaction.
So, funnily enough, there wasn't a lot of reaction in other world countries. And the only article we found from other countries was from Kyrgyzstan, and to our surprise, article wasn't too negative because it even debunked some of the Russian propaganda narratives about Lithuania and Lithuanian policymaking towards Russian minority schools and so on. And this article was published only 2 days after the first article showed up after minister comments. So the theme spread it pretty fast to other countries too, even though we only were able to find one article. And when we talk about Lithuania, we have very familiar face for, I think, most of us, Voldemaras Tomaševskis. So sometimes we know that he is the one that provides material for Russian or Kremlin propaganda to make a bad view about Lithuania and how it acts towards our minorities. But in this case, he only retold the story about the minority schools, and of course included that Polish minority will suffer from this too. But in Lithuania, negative articles also weren't too popular, so we had only one very specific site that we found that had a negative article. And when it comes to this tool, we found it very interesting, but a bit needy to understand how it works and to understand how to use it. So my colleague also found one interesting thing, that even though article is presented negatively by the AI, the content in the article, not even the comment section, might be positive or neutral. And that happened also with that article from Kyrgyzstan. It wasn't negative towards Lithuania, it was even more positive, but it still had an impact of minus 19%. So thank you, and
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you very much. Good job. And again, some recommendations back to the developers. And then the different thing, but yeah, still things to improve. And the last but not least, yet again, exciting name, Children of Enigma. The biggest group. It's like a very mighty group. The whole team.
Hello, we hope you still have energy for us left. So yeah, we are the Children of Enigma, and we were interested in what historical narratives of Lithuania are used by Lithuania, Russia, and in the whole world. So the data includes information of this year up until today. And what we noticed is the increase in Lithuanian articles is seen on the 29th of March, while worldwide increase is seen on 30th of March, so a day later. Some interesting things that we found is that a foreign data set, even though it's called foreign, but it included Russian or Lithuanian media in English. And there were a lot of Ukrainian articles and compared to the Western media. Another thing is that the Lithuanian data set includes the anti-establishment media. And there were some kind of random articles about basketball, a job offer, Eurovision. And now I will give a word to my colleague to present the empirical data.
So we find by the three standards, by the world, by the Russian, by the Lithuanian standards, and in the Russian propaganda media, there is a current stream of articles in Russian media about Lithuanian history, and it mainly consists of and dominating narratives about Soviet Union and fascism. Next. Basically, in foreign media, Lithuania is portrayed in this way. The most common elements to appear in the media related to Lithuania are NATO and European Union. A huge increase in such articles can be found noticed on 30 March, the day after the 20th anniversary of Lithuania's membership of NATO. And basically, neighboring countries write the most articles about Lithuania. And in Lithuania, social media and disinformation sites, Lithuanians are overwhelmingly positive about being part of Western alliance and defending democratic ideals abroad. And regardless of being part of Western ideas-driven alliance, Lithuanians view themselves negatively regarding human rights subjects.
So what we have found by taking this some kind of mini research. First of all, the Russian propaganda machine constantly writes about Lithuania, so it's like a constant flow of this information regarding Lithuanian history, and it is like common throughout the year. And the main thing which dominates is an illegitimate separation from Soviet Union and fascism, of course. Talking about foreign media, we have some reports about Lithuania, and they are very common the next day after some kind of Lithuanian Lithuanian media portals publishes about it. And foreign media mostly writes about Lithuania's successful accession to the international organizations, NATO or European Union. And Lithuanians tend to portray their admiration for Western ideas and democracy in their own social media or traditional one, but still seems to see themselves negatively regarding the situation of human rights in Lithuania. But all in all, Lithuanian media views positively Lithuania as a historical decision to unite with the Western alliances. And talking about the system itself, it is not perfect because it includes articles of different themes unrelated to it or narratives, as my colleague have mentioned before, but it is a great tool which can be used quickly to find a lot of articles with specific narratives, so it can be improved and really a beneficial one. So this is our team, and thank you for your attention, and hope you had some really beneficial insights from it.
Thank you. Thank you. We had indeed, and I hope that you also had some beneficial insights while working and some satisfaction. And now I give not the floor, but the microphone to Miko.
Just the microphone, please. So, guys, I want to specifically talk to the students. Thank you very much. It's been an experiment. If you've seen the last speaker on Margarita's panel, was asking it doesn't care what you have, it is how you use it and how you can use it quickly. So one of the reasons what we tried also to do, we did not instruct you about everything what can be done. We very, how to say, we very wanted to throw you in the water. I'm very sad that we couldn't throw you in the water just for one day, which was the original intent, just for one day to see what's happening there. Some of the things you've mentioned, there were some things you did not understand. There were some things you did not get it, and there were some things which doesn't work. So that's a mixture of all these things. But it doesn't matter because I think that all the groups had something meaningful to say, and we had to say it in a very, very short time. Now, in order to do this sort of analysis, or this sort of things, people take a lot of time to do it, and all the groups had something very insightful to say. And there are many more topics left there for someone to mind and to understand what is happening. So I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart because you showed that it's any usage in strategic comms or military warfare should be quick and fast because this is the way the enemy is reacting. So to see these things quickly and to get these things thrown into the water and get these things quickly, this is exactly what we wanted to practice and to test. And secondly, there are some things like, for example, we can talk about the sentiment model. It doesn't work everywhere. The voice mentioned sentiment usually says it's negative. So that's all the sentiments there. That means that we need to find ways how to specifically instruct him to separate these things. And there is also other places where this, other places like, for example, commentary section, that's just an error. So we should do that. We specifically placed only Lithuanian propaganda sources in the Lithuanian run because there are a lot of articles in Lithuania. So we very specifically placed Info and Respublika and Expertai and stuff like that to compare it with Russian propaganda. That was the original intent of doing so. And at the same time, of course, you can always immediately, you get a lot of data, like 30,000 articles, and you immediately get hungry for more data. So we said, okay, maybe not all articles, we want more articles and more articles. And this is what you get when you start using this thing. So thank you again for participating here. Thank you again for your insights. And the Commission is now having a secret meeting and deciding who's going to win what. So probably drum rolls, and we did a very thorough technical analysis by Marius, which I think he presented to you, which technically saw which group did the best job by constructing narratives. And the Commission now, the strategic comms, the colonel from strategic comms, the investor which has brought a lot of investments into Lithuania, Margarita, and also Darius, who leads the communication and is a strategic advisor for National Crisis Bureau, people who actually do it for a living. They are now evaluating which of you has made the biggest improvements about the task they have been giving to you. And I think that Margarita and Victoria and Darius, is ready to announce. And Darius, please, you gave the task. You should tell what you think
About what?
about the presentations.
Actually, guys, you made huge work in a very short time, and actually it was very useful for us as National Crisis Management Center as well. And I'm very happy to announce that maybe 3 or 4 students from this university already work with our team, and we hope that some of you will join us as well. So, thank you, of course, for inviting us as, coordinator of analyzing and monitoring disinformation in Lithuania and countering. So, thank you very much, Mykolas, and let's go on the stage.
Let's go on the stage. Please, you are as the, as the chairman of the committee, you should. Okay.
I selected myself chairwoman, and I will announce the winners and who will be presenting the gifts. So the team called Children of Enigma, we congratulate you for winning the 3rd place, and please come on stage, and the prizes will be delivered by Darius. Thank you, guys. All the best, and keep on helping Repsen's team developing the still further. So Margarita now will present the prizes to the team which took the 2nd place, and that is Law and Order Disinformation Unit. Guys, please come on stage. Thank you. We celebrate you and thank you for taking part. And now Thomas will present a big group of gifts to the winners of today's drills, and that is group Students Against Disinformation. Congratulations, guys.
And all this group I take to armed forces. And also, the group disinformation, we constantly were taking the first, high places during the technical evaluation, and also wanted to say that in one task we even beat our own team together with Crisis Bureau. In one task, technically it was a little bit better. So that these people really worked quite hard and interestingly. And also, I wanted to announce the main prize. So the main prize is, guys, you saw the system. There is more data there. If you want to do any research, you can do it for your masters or for other TCPs. So that's the main prize.
And also for the teams, we would like to contact later our assistants. So on the right, we will also give you diplomas and we'll add your names so that you can remember this event of today. Margarita, maybe you would like to say the closing words for today.
Thank you, thank you. I'm probably not entitled. I'm overwhelmed by my students' success. It's like a mama, like the students' presentation. So I know that I dragged you into an experiment, and maybe you are struggling, and maybe you will be angry a bit with me for working very hard and not knowing what to do, a lot of uncertainties. But you know, that's how the life is. So you are young, and studying is about the experiment. So I hope that you like this experiment and it's going to be useful for you in whatever you do later in your life, in your work. So good luck. Thank you, and thank you very much for this opportunity for me to be a part of this experiment. We can discuss what was good and bad later at the Institute, but today we can celebrate. And I also want to ask our partners, and in particular Sense, for giving this opportunity to experiment. So hope this is not the last time. You still have to develop Adler, so next year we'll come back.
So thank you for the members of commission, and I think, guys, I think there is warm food, right? There is some food, right? Some food. Let's go and discuss it on the next to the glass. Okay?
My dear students, I want to have a photo with you. Prie sienelės at this whatever kind of wall.